Hi guys, it's Marguerite again from Wreath by Marguerite here with another video. Today this is not a tutorial for a kit. This is simply an opportunity for you to watch me make a wreath for my Etsy shop. This will be available in the Etsy shop once the video is released. If you're watching it when the video is new, if not, check there. There may be the same wreath or something similar, or reach out to me if you want something in particular. This wreath is what I call a pixie wreath. A traditional normal sized wreath tends to be from 26 to 30 inches. This is slightly smaller even than, no, not smaller, about the same width as a storm wreath, except for this is fluffy and has a bow on it. This is great for a retirement home, a classroom, a dorm room door, your office. It can go anywhere. And on your front door, of course, if you don't have a screen or a storm door on it. With the bow, it really won't work well on the inside between the two doors. If you put it on an outside of a screen or a storm door, that would work. But yeah, you have a bow on it, it would just get squished if you tried to put it in between. It's also a bit thicker, as you can see, because it's on an elevated frame. And you'll see what I mean, if I can ever hang it up, there we go. You'll see what I mean if you watch the video. It's a very simple, basic technique, very similar to the storm door wreath, except for we're adding a bow and we are using an elevated frame. So follow along and see us create this beautiful patriotic wreath. Okay, so let's get started on this wreath. Like I said, this is just simply a creation for my shop. It's not a tutorial in that you can buy a kit. It's a tutorial in that you can see how it's done. A pixie wreath is done on a 10-inch frame that's elevated. It's fairly thick. Let's see, it is about 2 inches deep. So it gives it a lot more fluff. I'm using 3 ribbons, 2 that are 1.5 inch and 1 that's 2.5 inches. They're all cut at 12 inches in length. I made a bow for this one because this sign is going to sit off to the side a little bit, so there will be a bow on this side. I've already attached the pipe cleaners with staples to the back. I just need to pull off the price tag. Let me see, get that off of there. Missed that. Okay, so it's done. And then we have 12 twist ties on the frame. So we have 12 pieces of mesh, and in the pixie style, I use 20-inch lengths. On the storm door wreath, you put your mesh curl side down on a pixie with the woodland ruffle, which is the ruffle I'm doing today. You have the curl side up. Because to hide the fray on the ends, we're going to curl it 3 to 5 times. Clip it at the center and turn it around. That way all of your exposed edges that are cut are hidden. So we're going to ruffle it up the center, and we're going to put it in the outside bottom layer, pipe twist ties, and put it in horizontal. Twist it a couple times. Go to the next one, get another piece of mesh, put the mesh over here, make it easier on myself, right? Okay. Curl side up. I use this to weigh it down, or my phone, so it doesn't curl up and get in my way. Trying to make sure that the outside edges are even, so you don't have a piece sticking out. As Tammy says, roll it like a taquito. That's one of my mentors. Gather at the center. And then the next one, we've got that mesh in there horizontal. Turn it one a couple times. These are much thicker than pipe cleaners, so you don't always have to twist them as much, but you want to make sure they're tight so the mesh stays low against the frame so it's not moving around unnecessarily, because otherwise it'll wrap itself around the back of the wreath. 2, 3, 4. If you want a lot more ruffle in the center of your woodland ruffle, I would recommend using more mesh, but on this size frame, I wouldn't go more than 22, maybe 23 inches. And the bigger wreaths that start off at 15 inches in width this way, definitely 26 to 30 inch pieces. Once I get this bottom layer in, I'll tell you how wide this is going to be. Did that. Here's the next one. Next. All the tools that I use are pretty basic. This wire cutters I get from my business coach's warehouse, and his business is decoexchange.com. I have that information in the description. If you use my affiliate link, that would be greatly appreciated. It's up to you whether you do or not. Put that in horizontally. They have a lot of really nice product. A lot of the ribbon and the frames and the mesh come from them. It's almost the same product for the Pixie Wreath that I make as it is for the Storm Door wreaths. The difference is it has a bow, the sign is off center, and it has an elevated wreath frame. In the Storm Door wreath you have a much shorter frame, lower, so that it stays under 4 inches deep, so that when you put it on a door it won't get all smushed. If we tried to put this on a front door that has a storm door or a screen door, it probably won't look its best, honestly, because the bow is first of all going to get smushed. This will end up being about a 6 to 8 inch deep wreath once it's done because of the elevated frame and the bow. But it's a beautiful wreath to use anywhere. It's great for an office, a retirement home, a school, in the dorm. You could put it, if you don't have a screen or a storm door, there you go. I use, at least in this particular wreath, all the materials here are weather resistant. The mesh in the base has a lot of plastic to it. It looks like it's all burlap, but there's a little fabric to it, but it's a lot more plasticky than you see in the video. All of the ribbon that we're using in this wreath is fabric with wired edges. Only use wired ribbon. Gives you a lot more ability to control the outcome of where the ribbon goes. Without a wire, it'll go wherever the wind wants it to go, and that may not necessarily be where you want it placed. Alright, this is the bottom layer. I've already pre-cut the ribbon, so we'll go ahead and start putting the ribbon on the lower layer. I don't like to come back to it because then the mesh on the top is in the way, plus the less you handle it, always the better. Okay? It's always better, I should say. Okay. I'm gonna gather in the center, and on the bottom layer I make this inverted V so that the ribbon tails face to the outside of the wreath. And if there's excess, and there is here, and it's way different on one side from the other, I do trim the tinsel ties. These are tinsel ties that are built in. They're stapled to the wreath frame versus a pipe cleaner. They're definitely thicker, and they definitely give you more control of where everything goes than a pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaners are really what's best in the other style wreath that I make the most of, which is the storm door wreath, because it's thinner. So again, it comes back to keeping everything as thin as possible. This is just a fun, fluffy wreath we're making. So again, I made that inverted V so that the ribbon will face the outside of the wreath. I'm going to cut the excess off. Not everybody does this. I do, because I don't like to see it sticking out. That's just me. I know my business coach, he does not cut them, usually. I don't think I've seen him do it. It's part of the wreath. Okay, so on the Pixie Wreath frame, the 10-inch frame, you get 7 ties on the outside and 5 on the inside. So it's much harder to use 2 different sets of ribbon combinations, because if you try to do every other, and I hope this makes sense, if you try to do every other, at one point on each layer, you're going to have 2 that are exactly the same next to each other. It's not the end of the world, because if you're putting a bow on it, just make sure your bow is on the side that has the tails next to each other that are exactly the same. I hope that makes sense. If not, reach out. I'm always open to answer questions. I have been doing this now for 6 years as a business, and I still love it. Except for my kids. I don't think I've made anything exactly the same twice. I've used all the products more than once, but for me, it all starts with the sign. That is what dictates what's going to go into the wreath. The sign, I take the sign and then I figure out a color scheme. Sometimes all the ribbons are patterned. A lot of times they're like this, where I break it up with a solid color to give it some different dimension. I always run my fingers over the ribbon to give it a little more curl, which I also do at the end. How many more I got? 3 more on this layer. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's 5. Make that V. So we see all that prettiness. The mesh is your solid foundation, so how much of it's seen is entirely up to you, but its purpose in life is to support all the other beautiful elements that you add to it. I've heard it often referred to as the bra of your wreath. It is the supportive solid base. I found it funny at first, but it's right, you know? It truly is. Holds everything up. We got 2 more on this layer. And like I believe I already said once before, this one will be available in my shop. I will not be able to duplicate it. The only time I can duplicate is with kits. If it's a wreath from a kit, I can duplicate it. I try to keep as much uniqueness in my creations as possible. Plus, it gets boring doing the same thing over and over, doesn't it? I think so. So we get these. This is a really nice canvas. I was lucky that they made it in both widths, the 1.5 inch and the 2.5 inch. That's not always the case. I like having a mixture of both widths. I also use a 4-inch ribbon, not on a pixie wreath. On bows and on the bigger wreaths. In the future, you'll see some of that in my videos here on YouTube. Okay, I'm pushing that in so it's not sticking out. Separating the ribbon. And if you notice, I'm not grabbing the ribbon at the very tips, and that's by design, so I don't end up causing fray on the ribbon, because if I cause fray on the ribbon, I gotta recut the dovetails, and that takes away from the length of the ribbon tails, and we don't want to do that. So now we're going to go back and do the 5 in the center. So I'm bringing these up. It's back to the mesh time. Curl side up, create 1 curl on this end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it from 3 to 5 times. You're hiding that cut edge on the mesh so it's not exposed. The more it's exposed, the more it'll fray. This eliminates almost all of that because it's hidden in the roll at the ends. Very smart. Okay. Tight and low. Next. There are so many different things you can do. You can do this exact style on the 15-inch frame, which will get you, what did I say it was going to be? This one's going to be only 15 inches round. The other size, the 15, makes it about 24 inches wide, and a standard door I think is 32 inches, 32 to 36. If you go to my Facebook page, I will have a guide that I received from one of my mentors on sizing a wreath for a door, meaning what size serves your door best, will look best. Because if you put a really small one, it's going to just look so small on a door, and if you have a big one, it might be too much. There is a method to our madness. These are great for offices, or like I said, a retirement home or a dorm room. You don't have a lot of space, but you want to put something pretty up. This is a great idea for something like that. And you know, this is going to be patriotic, obviously. You could certainly keep this up all year round if you want. We can be patriotic all year round, right? It's starting to come together. Ruffle, ruffle, ruffle. So I'll review one more time the process of making the ruffle. So you take your, this is a 20-inch piece of mesh. Once it's been cut, it's 10 inches this way, but it's 20 inches the long way, the way in which we cut it. We're creating 3 to 5 rolls on the end, clipping it in the center. Use a ruler if you're not comfortable with your eyeballing the center. How many rolls is going to determine how much room in the middle you'll have to do the ruffling like I'm doing right now. Take it off the clip, put it in the tinsel tie. Tight and low, 2 or 3 times. Okay, so this is our last piece. 1, 2, 3. Really protects the cut edge when you do these rolls. Wooden ruffle is one of my absolute favorites. If I'm not making a storm door wreath, I would say 95% of the time I do my ruffles like this. There are a ton of other ruffles and designs you can make with the mesh. Mostly with me, you'll see this and the style I do with the storm door wreath. Okay, so now they're all on there. I'm going to go back and I'm going to put the last 5 bundles of ribbon. I'm ruffling it in the center. On the top layer, I do not do the inverted V because I want to spread it out like a starburst. Cut the excess off above the twist. Tuck it in. Okay. On this layer, I'm not going to do it different on each side. They're going to be exactly the same on all the way around. Okay. I think I'm going to do it this way though. And keep the 1.5 in the center. There we go. Yeah. That way there's more coverage of the mesh on the outside of the wreath. The inside's going to be covered, so no one's going to see under that. So yeah. So gather twist a few times. Cut off the excess. You don't have to cut off the excess, that's just me. You could even decorate it by putting something, gluing something there as well. Bring that out. And I try to turn the wreath so that I'm not struggling to do what I need to do, contorting my body. Next one. This one's gonna be fun and bright. Very festive. That one in there. Put that there. Let me see. So it's going to be the outside with the 2.5 inch. Inside with the 1.5 inch. And you notice I'm curling them as I'm placing them. Not holding on to the outside edge. Not holding on there. Because we don't want it to fray. That one there. 2 to go. Yeah, 2 to go. Get that one in there. After I get the ribbon in, I'll stand up because I find that easier when I'm placing the sign in the bow, to stand for that and to do a final fluff of the wreath to get everything exactly where I want it. Okay. Ah, see? Velcro. Mesh is like Velcro. Anything in its way, it brings with it. I always try to make sure I'm wearing short sleeves also when I'm creating, because last thing I want to do, number one, is be constantly catching my clothes on the mesh. Secondly, I don't want to wear anything that I worry about getting ruined because it catches on everything. Okay. Get that cut off. And stand. Tuck that in. This is going to be a fluffy one. Fluffy, fluffy. You can get pretty aggressive with the ribbon because it's in there good. And this is very heavy duty ribbon. Alright, so now I just have to decide. Let me see, looking at it up there. That one looks a little flat. It's probably not. So I think I'm going to go with that there and that over there. Okay. I think I'm going to put that one here. I'm going to feed the pipe cleaner through the mesh as close to the tie as possible. And then this one on the other side. Grabbing it from the back. I don't want to tighten it up too much because it'll sink in to the wreath too much. I may have to loosen that. And I only did a couple ties on the back because I'm not sure. Okay. I think I'm going to I'm going to do everything on this side of the ribbon tails. Put it through the mesh to the back of the wreath. Okay, come on, pipe cleaner. Bring that one over here. Bring it over. And I'll tighten everything up. Good. Okay, go ahead and finish. You always want, you don't want to leave your pipe cleaners like this, so I usually just do that, twist them up, and then I wrap them around the frame. I might cut off a little bit, we'll see. And I always want to make sure, I didn't twist that enough. I always want to make sure that once I'm done twisting it around the metal frame, that these sharp edges are pushed back down into the wreath so that it doesn't scratch someone's door. It's less likely on this kind of frame because it's the elevation here. This is much higher than this, but I don't like to take a chance. I would be heartbroken if I screwed up someone's door. I'm not cutting any of this off. It can all just wrap around and go in. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to add the bow, and I didn't cut all the tails the way I wanted them to yet because I wanted to make sure I had them placed where I wanted them. Okay, I'm going to turn it around. It's that time of day, so I'm getting a little bit of, what do you call it? What am I trying to say, guys? Glare. That's the word, glare. I'm going to put that one there. No, I want to make sure it's through the mesh because the mesh is going to hold it where it needs to be. So I'm just trying to get this pipe. Usually have a needle, a large plastic embroidery needle to put the pipe cleaner through the mesh. I forgot it. I film at the Jansen Art Studio. They have all the fabulous technology that they've so graciously allowed me to use. And I forgot it. I forgot the needle. Get that in there. So this is a little more struggle than it has to be, but you just have to be patient and try not to push the pipe cleaner through ribbon. It's not going to go through this thick ribbon, but turn it over. Tighten it up, but don't sink it too far into the wreath. I'm going to cut a lot of the extra off on that one once I get it set in there. So where is that loop? So we're going, okay, that's what I was doing wrong. So these two go here, these loops go there. Where's the other blue one? It goes here. It was hiding from me. Let's get this settled. Those there. If you watch some of my other videos, you will see how to make this style of bow. I know as of the filming of this one, I know I have for sure 2 bow making videos up. One for the terry bow and one for this style. It's called the 7 ribbon bow. This one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's exactly the same procedure and instruction. Okay, so let me pull that up. I want my bow to be where I want it to be and not hiding the flag too much. Okay, so now I just need to go back and trim the ribbon that I haven't. It looks like one side I did when I was making the bow and one side I did not. So let's make these dovetails. Get them all done. That one's done. And then I'm going to throw some swirlies in here. I call them piggy tails, twists, whatever you want to call them. Let's see. Okay, so let's pull these all up and start at the back and bring them up. So I want that one there and that one there. Try not to have the same ribbons next to each other on each side. So what's after that? This. I made it nice and long because I think I want to make, yeah, I'm going to do a little twisties. See? Then we're going to put that one, just run our fingers over it to give it some curve, some curl. This one I need to do still. Throw my fingers over that. Okay, what's next? These two are pretty long. No, just the one is pretty long. So that goes there. And that one I'm going to put another curl in it. I only did 2 in this. And look at it and see what it needs. Make sure all of my ribbon tails are out to the edge for people to see. Run my fingers over the ribbon as I'm fluffing the ribbon. Fluff up those loops a little more. Okay, let me fix this. I'm not at home, so I can't attach this to the table. So how does that look? There we go. So ultimately this ended up being not even, oh, I'm looking at it from the wrong way. Oh my goodness. Let's try this again. This is 21 inches wide. Hi guys, now it's done. Isn't that cute? I know I showed it to you at the beginning, but I love it. It's a perfect middle-sized wreath. Like I said, it's got a big fluffy bow. It's got a beautiful sign, perfect for all year round, not just 4th of July. We could be patriotic every day, right? It's got a lot of nice quality, high quality ribbon, done in a very simple process, as you saw in the video. So thank you for joining me today. This will be available in my Etsy shop, which the information for that is down in the description. I also have a Facebook page. It's also Wreaths by Marguerite. Feel free to go over there and like and follow the page. You'll find out whenever I make new product, whenever I'm going to have new tutorials, where I'm going to be if you're local as far as craft shows. I do quite a few craft shows in the 2 or 3 hour distance from where I live here in Southwest Nebraska. Also, I appreciate the fact that you spent time with me today on my YouTube channel. That means a lot to me that you take some time out of your day to spend with me. You could be doing a whole lot of other things. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll get notifications anytime that I have a new video coming up. Generally, they're Sunday afternoons. That's not hard and fast, but generally that's what I like to do. It seems to be the best time for people to take some time out of their day and relax and watch something pretty be made. So again, thank you guys for joining me, and I appreciate you all. You all have a nice day. Thank you.